Good Tuesday morning. An interesting Monday night game last night. The Dallas Cowboys get back on track, and one of Boomer's favorite guys, maybe under fire for the first time ever, in Justin Herbert, as he throws another late game pick that cost his team. The Jets riding high into the bye week. Oh my goodness, that Rob Saleh press conference yesterday about Aaron Rodgers and the manifestation, and oh my God, he's the guru that's going to turn this team into a championship team, whether or not he has his gets back out on the field or not. That was fun to watch. And the Giants are really, really bad. And I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think. But this thing is turning into a very similar script once again, with a great first-year head coach and a second-year disaster. Can Brian Daboll keep it from unraveling so he is not Ben McAdoo and Joe Judge 3.0, because we are trending in that direction? Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Jay. I thought you were going to open with the Rangers and the Coyotes last night.
I knew you would bring it up. I knew you would bring it up.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we got to kill off a 5-3. We got to, shut down a penalty shot, and then we could lock down at the end. So I was very happy about that. And yeah, you're right. Justin Herbert should be under fire. I mean, he didn't play great last night. And another game this weekend that it was a tight game, but it was a sloppy game. And we had a lot of sloppy games this weekend in the NFL, and not a lot of scoring. Two teams did most of the scoring. When you look at it, Miami basically, who's unstoppable, especially on their home field, and then the Jaguars had some points. But it was kind of a game that both teams needed really, really badly, and it sounded totally like 90% Cowboy fans in L.A.
Well, it was.
It was ridiculous.
Visually, too. It certainly was, and we know that was going to be the case going in. It's just one of those places that gets taken over by opposing teams' fans, and there's more Cowboy fans than probably any fan out there, and it's just an ugly scene for that organization that left San Diego, has been in L.A. They don't have a fan base.
Yeah, I wish I would have just stayed in San Diego. But here's the thing, there are players who are established in this league that, are leaders of their respective teams, and both of these quarterbacks happen to be those leaders and those established players. However, one player is under just intense scrutiny all the time, and that is Dak Prescott. The other one skirts. I don't know why, but he does. Maybe it's because he doesn't play for the Cowboys. Maybe if he did play for the Cowboys, more people would be paying attention to some of the mistakes he makes. But I have to say that Dak Prescott played his ass off last night. He ran the ball when he needed to. He took 5 sacks, didn't throw the ball into trouble, made a couple really key throws late in this game. And you knew he had to win. They had to win this game because they were going into their bye. Could you imagine what the bye would have been had they lost last night?
Well, especially after the beatdown to the 49ers. And then, last night they're down 7-0 in a blink of an eye, coming off that, 42-10 loss to the 49ers. And you're thinking, wow, these Cowboys really aren't the team that we saw in the beginning of the season. Maybe they're just beating up on the Jets and Giants. We got a false sense of who they were, but they battled back and won that game. It was impressive. And I think to answer your question about why Justin Herbert doesn't get as much criticism as Dak Prescott, the Cowboy thing is a huge deal. But just like aesthetically watching Justin Herbert, you can fall in love with those great throws. And he does make a lot of those. He just looks great.
And he missed a bunch last night.
And he did. Is a one Keenan Allen where he overthrew him. He was wide open. It would have gone for maybe 70 yards at that point. But it's just when he's on, he looks aesthetically like one of the best quarterbacks you've seen. His arm, just everything is so fluid. But problem is, at the end of these games, he's flat out bad. He has cost his teams time and time again at the end of these games. And you can only blame the coach so much for some of that stuff. And when you've got that type of player out on the field, he's expected to win those games in the fourth quarter, and he's done the exact opposite of that.
You know what's amazing about watching a Chargers game, and it seems like every week it happens, that they're always in one-score games.
Yeah.
And they either have the ball late in the game, and it's like a 4th and 1, and they can either convert it, they don't convert it. I thought Troy was going to jump out of the booth last night. How many times did Brandon Staley have to make a decision on offense to go for it?
Yeah.
And, and it's just somehow it always seems to find him, the coach, Brandon Staley. And, and thankfully, at least towards the end of the game, they did convert a touchdown on a 4th and goal, which was, I was like, oh my God, please score a touchdown here, because I can't deal with another Brandon Staley question tomorrow morning from Gio. And at least they scored by throwing the ball to Everett there. But I don't know. It's a weird thing about how, there are certain players in this league that are under the gun constantly. Now, Zach Wilson's one of them. Justin Fields is one of them. And those guys really aren't established yet. They're still, somewhat established, but also they received the scorn of their fan base and the media and everybody else. Dak Prescott, come on. Is there a guy that is more, questioned by the pundits and the people like us than other players? I know that Kirk Cousins has undergone some of that stuff, but I don't think there's a guy more scrutinized than Dak Prescott in the entire NFL.
Well, it's the perfect
established guy,
right? It's the perfect conversation piece because you're talking about the most important position in the most popular team, and he has that classic, is he good enough to get him to the next level thing? Like, that's what the conversation is, and Dak Prescott gets to a certain point, and then that's it. Generally, they run into a better team, and he can't beat that better team. So until he proves that, where he's in a situation where he's facing the 49ers in the playoffs or the Eagles in the playoffs or a team that's just a very good team, and he's the best player on the field, this discussion is going to be ongoing for the rest of his career.
Yeah, but he may not be the best quarterback on the field, but the team, like for last night, he got them down at the field goal range. They kicked the field goal, they went ahead, and then their defense did what they were supposed to do. They get a sack and they get an interception, game over. And it's not all on Dak Prescott, but when you look back at the game and you look back at the physicality of this particular game and how many hits he took and the way that he ran with the ball and that he didn't turn it over, then you say to yourself, he is a high-end quality player. I understand what you're saying, and I know what the pundits say, and I know it's the Cowboys, and I know it's Jerry Jones, and it's, everybody's screaming and yelling about them, and you could see their popularity last night just by how many people were there last night in L.A. Rooting them on. Probably 90% of the fan base, or 90% of the fans at the game were Dallas Cowboy fans.
Yeah.
So, but I feel bad for that guy sometimes because he always stands up after the game and takes like the pound of flesh that everybody wants from him. He's got to stand up there and he's got to just basically take it. And I don't know what to tell you. He's established. He's their unquestioned leader. He's the guy that that has to deal with all the criticism, yet he's still a very high-quality player that may not be a top-5 quarterback in the league, but he's certainly a top-10 quarterback in the league.
Yeah, and I think here's the issue, too, because people will call up and they'll try to make the Jets this year into the 2000 Ravens or the 2002 Buccaneers. They'll say, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. That teams that haven't had exceptional quarterback play, and at least in that game and in the playoffs, haven't won the Super Bowl in a long time. Now, not every name who has done it has been a Hall of Fame name, but that guy in those games played his ass off. And that is, I think, the reason why people look at Dak Prescott and say, what they need to see from him is have that 4-touchdown game in a divisional round or in a championship game for me to really believe in it. So think about it. You go back in the last Super Bowl winners, obviously, Patrick Mahomes last year. The year prior to that, Matthew Stafford played his ass off and won that Super Bowl. The year prior to that, Tom Brady. Prior to that, Patrick Mahomes. Prior to that, Tom Brady. Now we go back to the Philadelphia Eagles and say, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Nick Foles was incredible
in the game,
in the championship game. The Eagles would not have won if it weren't for how great Nick Foles had played. Year previous to that, Tom Brady. Year previous to that, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, who had a great season. Even the 2013 season when it was Joe Flacco, he won the Super Bowl MVP and got this massive contract.
Yes, he did.
So, that's really the conversation is Dak Prescott going to be the reason why the Cowboys win a football game in a playoff game like all these guys were? And you really haven't seen it.
I know. I think the quarterback is always easy to look at and just take apart no matter what.
Well, we know it's the most important position.
But like Al and Jerry were talking, and you brought it up. Could there be a division in the locker room as to who the quarterback's going to be for the Giants? Do they really believe in Zach Wilson? They need to have Aaron Rodgers around and all this other stuff. But I don't think there's any question that they believe in Dak Prescott in that locker room.
Oh yeah, well, and the owner believes in him too. But I think it's really what comes down to the fan base. Like, for example, how many years did we fight about, and I do have more respect now for Kirk Cousins than I ever did, but how many years did we fight about, look at this guy's numbers, he stands in there, he's the face of the franchise, all these things that you see not looking at it from a fan standpoint. And my fan standpoint was, The Minnesota Vikings were in the championship game with Case Keenum the year before Kirk Cousins got there, and he was supposed to be the one that got him to the Super Bowl.
I know. A couple breaks, though, happened for the Minnesota Vikings. Let's face it. They had a couple breaks. They had an unbelievable game against New Orleans and an unbelievable finish. That doesn't happen very often. And maybe they were just charmed that year with Case Keenum. I don't know. But all I know is that playing quarterback in this league is not that easy, and you're always under the gun. You're always under fire. Even Aaron Rodgers out in Green Bay was under fire, for God's sake.
It's just so funny to me, though, how the aura of Aaron Rodgers is so important to the Jets, but out in Green Bay, they couldn't wait to get rid of him. It's just so funny to me how that works out.
Maybe
he's a different guy. Maybe he was just more pissed off in Green Bay, and he's different now. I don't know. But it's just so funny.
I've been. What have I said? I said I wanted to see him in Denver because he wasn't here. So let's just take this down for a second. He was not here for the Patriot loss.
No,
he was not in Denver.
But they won, yeah.
But they won. But Zach Wilson made a couple key errors in those games. Mm-hmm. I think Aaron needs to be around, and I've been saying this. And yesterday, I think Rob Saleh confirmed exactly what I've been saying about just his presence being in the building and calming everybody down from a revolt from within, and dealing with all the shortcomings of Zach Wilson. Aaron Rodgers if he's there, then he has a positive impact on Zach Wilson's teammates, and is trying to get Zach Wilson's teammates to rally around Zach Wilson, which is a good thing, which is exactly what you want. If he can't play, then you got to have his presence around. And I was hoping that he was going to go to Denver. He did not go to that game. Did show up, of course, for this past week's game and should be back after the bye for the rest of the season with the team, which is invaluable. I mean, I don't suspect he's not going to play, but the fact that he's around and he's the adult in the room and he can make everybody calm down is a very important aspect to the New York Jets, even though he's not playing.
I mean, there was a lot of people yesterday after we got off the air that started with the Aaron Rodgers is going to play again this year, starting with Brandon Tierney right after us. I heard Mike Greenberg say it. Mike Vaccaro wrote a column in the Post today about the dream of Aaron Rodgers playing. I mean,
oh my God!
I mean, everybody hopped on.
What about AVT? Is he going to play? Is he coming back from his Achilles? By the way, I haven't heard one thing about his Achilles.
Well, he got hurt later.
Yeah, but I still haven't heard anything about the surgery. Where is he getting the surgery? Is it Neil Elitrage doing the surgery? Is what's going on?
He's not
with him?
Aaron Rodgers.
Is he going to be back in 5 months? I mean, what are we doing here? We don't want to talk about him. Oh, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers.
Well, you know the reason why. Stop
it.
But
I'm just pointing out that there's another guy who tore his Achilles.
But it was like a month later, so it's a difference.
And you see, Garrett Wilson went off on the field again over there at MetLife Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what the issue is.
And when you meant going off on the field, you literally mean on the turf.
Yeah, on the
not
turf,
like he was flipping out on the field about something. He was flipping out about the field.
About the field, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarification.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, because I was a little confused myself. That's all right, yeah, he was complaining about the turf over there, but whatever. I mean, this is a thing that you have talked about. There's really no way to quantify it, so these players want grass, and hopefully they get grass at some point, because honestly, I'm sick and tired of hearing about that whole thing. But I knew that this was going to start to be a thing, and then yesterday it started to be a thing. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
God!
And then even Tierney went as far as to say yesterday, I was listening to those guys driving home, that he doesn't even think it was a full rupture now.
He doesn't think
so? He doesn't think it's a full
rupture. Did he get the medical report?
I don't know. He's locked in. He's keyed in.
Did he see Aaron Rodgers? Oh, Jesus. Did you see Aaron Rodgers' calf when that thing ruptured?
That was Sal's rebuttal to that. Said we saw his thing pop and reverberate, so I don't know.
Holy Christ. What are we doing around here?
Well, there's a lot of passion there, man. And this is like now the chip on the shoulder. I mean, the Jets went from that team that everybody was gunning for to now like the underdog story because they've got Zach Wilson at quarterback.
And by the way, I guess Rob Saleh is becoming public enemy number one down in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I didn't
comments.
Think. Right, well, so it was the post-game show that really started this. I guess it was the Eagles post-game show or whatever, NBC Sports Philadelphia, and they said, I can't stand that guy, and they were ripping Rob Saleh a little bit. But, that's what local post-game show, we do that too. But, is that really that big of a deal that the Eagles commentators who were pro-Eagles didn't like Rob Saleh? Like,
No. But I'm just saying it's kind of fun that Rob Saleh is now in the fire, in the eye of the Eagle fan.
yeah, sure.
You know?
I mean, what the hell they got to worry about in Philadelphia right now? I mean, the team's still 5-1. They got the Phillies win game 1 of the NLCS. What are they worried about? What are they focusing in on Rob Saleh for? They're riding high. Suck it.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about.
God, it's just so sickening of the crap we have to deal with here, and they're just having the time of their lives again.
Which makes it even worse.
Again.
Maybe we'll get Joel Embiid.
No, yeah, well, if we get Joel Embiid, he'll probably have, he'll be on a titanium alloy leg by the end of the year.
Yes, exactly.
God.
You're so negative. I mean, you just can't.
It's not me. It's all the stuff around us.
That was negative. That was a negative take on Joel Embiid.
Well, you know how it goes with all this stuff. Man, it's not just me. It's New York sports. You understand. Like a loser.
See, that's what I'm talking
Like
about.
a loser.
What the hell? I mean, is this is all like from the same show, or is it like
that was that whole rant? Yeah,
that was the whole rant.
That was that whole rant. That
I
next
thought maybe
day
it was
after.
they were continuing it. And has he been ranting and raving like a lunatic?
No, not like that. Since
Okay.
that day,
Not since that day,
That was
okay.
a very special day.
So he's calmed down a little bit.
Yeah, essentially for that day he was insane. And he got the T-shirts and everything, the unkillable T-shirts.
Is that the merch? Like
good
it.
for the Jet fan, man. That's fired up. I do feel good for them. I talked to a lot of them yesterday going into this bye week riding high. They feel like they are back.
Feeling good, man.
Feel like they are back.
And they're thinking that Aaron Rodgers is coming back. Oh, boy.
Yep. Well, I think Aaron Rodgers thinks Aaron Rodgers is coming back. All right, Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.